Well, welcome everyone. I see we have people joining. If you can hear the sound of my voice, raise your hand in the GoToWebinar hand raising control panel. If you've never done that before, there's a little panel and there's a hand that you can raise. Just want to make sure people can hear me. There we go. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you. So it's 6:30, so we might as well get started. My name is Mike Devlin. I'm with the Michael Devlin Group, Real Estate Solutions, and this is called How to Launch a Successful Real Estate Career. Even in the time of COVID-19, we're gonna talk about that. Let me make sure this is working. All right. So there are three things that we're going to talk about. One of them is why real estate, and part of that is why now, right? And if you're let me see, what's the best way to put it? Usually, when people are willing to take time off in their personal or professional life to attend, well, something like this, it's because they're either really bored and don't have anything to do, or they're looking for something new, something different, hopefully better in their business or professional life. And assuming that's what you're thinking about, doing something different, doing something to make more money, having a change in your career, why real estate? Why would you want to be a real estate agent? How much money can you make? What do you have to do to be successful? Why now, right? Of all the different times that you could get started, why would you want to get into real estate now? We'll talk about that. Then another topic is going to be how to choose an office to affiliate with, because once you've decided you want to be in real estate, the next question is with whom? There are many different kinds of real estate companies. They operate and they're structured differently, and we'll look at some of those differences and how that might impact your career in real estate. And then finally, in how to get started. We're going to talk about what do you need to do to get a real estate license, what do you need to do to keep a real estate license, how long does that whole process take, and how much does it cost, right? I hope that is what you came to hear, or at least sounds like it, because, well, that's what I'm going to talk about. So why real estate, right? Looking to something new to do, why would you get into real estate? First, let's start with some definitions of terms. There are, to begin with, the word broker and salesperson. Now, those terms refer to two different kinds of real estate licenses. There are two kinds of real estate licenses. You can get either a broker's license or you can get a salesperson's license. In many ways, you can do the same with either license. If you have a salesperson's license, you can do everything a broker can do with two exceptions. There's two things that you could do with a broker's license that you can't do with a salesperson's license. Only two things. Number one is be independent. Salespeople have to work for brokers, but brokers don't have to work for brokers. Brokers can be independent. The second thing you could do with the broker's license is, well, you could brag about it. You could tell everybody that you've got the advanced license, the graduate license, the high license. Most people have no idea what you're talking about, nor do they particularly care. So to become a broker, however, requires 2 years full-time experience in real estate or 4 years part-time experience in real estate. Plus you got to take a lot of classes and you have to pass a much harder test. So we'll talk about how to become a salesperson first, because, well, you're going to probably have to become a salesperson first. Then there's the word agent. The word agent refers to a relationship where one person, called the agent, represents another person, called the principal, in dealings with other people who are called, well, they're called other people, third parties. So if there's no principal and no third party, there is no agency. I'll give you an example. Many times people have come to me and they've said, you know, I've been thinking about getting my real estate license. And I just was wondering, if I have my real estate license and I want to buy a house for investment purposes or for my family, can I be my own agent, right? I've been asked that question many times. And I believe if somebody asks me a question, I ought to give them a direct answer to the question. And the answer is no, you cannot be your own agent. And the reason I say no is because by definition, agents represent somebody else. If you're representing yourself, You are not an agent. You're a principal. And if you're a principal, well, you're not an agent, right? So there's no third party if you're buying it for yourself, therefore you're not an agent in the transaction. Now that was a very accurate technical explanation, but I also know that really wasn't what they were asking me, right? I know that wasn't. What they were really asking me was this: if I get my real estate license and I buy a house for myself, can I save money on the commission? And the answer to that is yes, but that's because you're a licensee. And that license status, and by the way, the word licensee could refer to a broker or a salesperson. And because of your professional status, the commission that would have gone to the agent in the transaction, you could apply it towards your transaction as credits and things like that. But you can save money because you're a licensee, but you're not really an agent if you're buying it for yourself. Then there's the word realtor. The word realtor is a copyrighted designation of the National Association of Realtors, which is a trade association, which is sort of like a union, right? They hate it that I say that, but they're like a union, like the Teamsters union, right? Now, if you're not familiar, if you were a truck driver, that would be a union you might want to join. So the question is, if I want to drive trucks commercially, does the law require that I join the Teamsters union? The answer is no. What do I need to drive trucks commercially? I need a commercial driver's license. That's what I need. Might I choose to join the union? There are some jobs I won't get if I'm not a union member. They've got benefits and insurance. They got stuff, right? And I might want that stuff. So the word realtor, does the law say you have to become a member of the Association of Realtors, become a realtor in order to legally sell real estate in California? And the answer is no. Technically, all you need the license. Well, then when would you and why would you join the union? And the short answer is, if you're selling houses, 1 to 4 units, residential property, you're probably going to join the union. And that's because that's how you get access to the multiple listing service. It's how you get the key that unlocks homes when people aren't there. It's how you get access to all the forms and a whole bunch of other tools. Now, not everybody joins the union because they don't need those things. I'll go through some examples. What can you do if you have a real estate license? Let me see, I think I have a question. Can you recommend a good commercial real estate licensing school? I'm getting to that right now. So what can you do with a real estate license? You probably already know that you can sell houses and get paid a commission. But the answer to the question, which was, could I recommend a commercial real estate school? The answer is yeah, no, because there is no commercial real estate license. I've had many people say to me, look, I don't want to sell houses. I don't want to go to people's homes and sit at their kitchen table in the evening and drive around on weekends. I don't want to do any of that. I want to work business hours with business people, and that's all I want to do. I only want to do commercial real estate. Tell me, how do I get that license? And the answer is there's no such thing. You understand? There is just a real estate license. And so with that license, you could do residential, you could do commercials. Now, I work for a company that does residential and commercial. I have agents who only do commercial. I currently have an escrow pending on commercial property, a listing on commercial property. But it's the same license, right? The same exam. Also, with a real estate license, you could be a loan agent. Now, not everyone who's a loan agent has to get a real estate license. If you work for Bank of America or Wells Fargo, you don't need a license. But mortgage companies are real estate brokers. A mortgage broker is a real estate broker. And the salespeople that work at the mortgage broker have real estate licenses. But in addition to the real estate license, they have to get it endorsed. Real estate salesperson's license. Property management. If it's not just, well, I remember living in the apartment building and, the couple at the end of the hall, the Nazi couple at the end of the hall. Oops, I just got somebody, Stefan said that we've lost audio. Is there any other people? Can you hear me? Let me just make sure that you can all hear me. Back now. Okay, good. I cut in and out. I'll get back to some of the questions a little bit later, but property management is more than managing an apartment building or a commercial building. We do property management too, by the way. But a lot of times there are investors who want to buy fourplexes and things like that, and they don't want to be the ones to find the renters and negotiate the leases and do all that. They just don't want to, so they hire real estate agents to do that sort of thing. And REITs, Rachel, I'm not going to get into that right now. Real estate investment trust, we'll talk later. And a business opportunity. So let's say you wanted to own your own hardware store. And rather than starting it from scratch, you find a guy that is retiring. He has a hardware store in town, Harry's Hardware, and old Harry is going to retire. And so one option, instead of starting your own hardware store, you could buy his hardware store. So you're buying Harry's Hardware from Harry. Now, there's a really good chance that Harry does not own the building and does not own the land. He's a renter, he's a tenant. So when you're buying the hardware store, you're not actually buying real estate. You're not buying real property, you're buying personal property. And if you have a real estate license, this isn't the only way to do it, but if you have a real estate license, you can represent people in the sale of businesses and be paid a commission, even when real estate is not involved in the sale. Now, primarily what we do is residential, commercial, and property management. Loans, it's a different thing, and I've managed a mortgage company in the past, but you know, I'm just saying. So we're going to talk mostly about that. Oops. Ways of holding a license. You could work for a broker or not work for a broker, but you need a broker. Now, that may seem confusing. It does to me sometimes when I say it. But the reason for this slide is that I've had people say to me that, you know, they're like, look, I think I want to get into real estate. I'd like to get my license, but I don't know what I'm going to do. I really don't. And so maybe I shouldn't get my license if I don't know what I'm going to do with it and I don't have a broker lined up and I don't know. Now, the reality is that you can go and get your license, but not affiliate with a broker. In other words, you can renew it every 4 years. You can keep it alive forever. And I guess where I'm going with this is that you can get what's called a non-working license. And you can decide later if you want to work for a broker or not. There are a bunch of people who have real estate licenses, but work in the affiliated professions, the title and home warranty and escrow and things like that. And so they may have a license, but it's not an active license. It's not a working license. Now, the thing about a non-working real estate license is that it's like a non-working car, right? You have a non-working car in your garage. Your friends can come over. You can show them the car. They can even sit in the car, but they can't go for a ride in the car because it's a non-working car. So you can have a real estate license and you can put it on the wall and you can show it to people, but you can't actually do anything unless you have a broker. You need a broker in order to do license activity. Why are people interested in real estate? Number one reason, survey says, is freedom and independence. It was a really long time ago, I admit, but a long time ago. I used to work for a company, and it was a very strange company. It was weird, really weird. And what I found so weird about this company is they told us what time we had to be at work each day. I mean, it was like they had some sort of a rule that everyone had to show up at a particular time. And then they would tell you when you could go on break and when you could go to lunch and when you should come back from lunch and when you could go home. I believe that arrangement is called a job. I think that's what that's called. And being in real estate is not like having a job. You can, if you were in our office, you could look around, you could open up doors, and what you won't find are time clocks or the equivalent digital that agents can punch. In other words, you're an independent contractor, which is much more like having your own business than it is working for somebody. In fact, the people that are most successful in real estate are people that have always wanted to have their own business, and it wouldn't hurt to have some business acumen as well. Do you understand what I'm saying? We won't call you at 10 o'clock in the morning and say, hey, where are you? Right? You understand? It's not that kind of a deal. So you have freedom and independence. By the way, do you want to know what the biggest disadvantage for many people is when they work in real estate? The biggest disadvantage. And the answer is freedom and independence. As there's an Eastern saying that freedom is a gift, not always wisely used. I heard the story of a guy that started at one of the tech companies. It was his first day, and he was given the tour. And at the lunch area, he's eating lunch with some old timer who's been there, you know, for what looks like forever. And so the newbie asked the old timer, "How long have you worked for this company?" And the old timer said, "Ever since they threatened to fire me." Right? That's when I started working for the company. Have you ever met people like that? They work just enough so they don't get fired. And then the company pays them just enough so they won't quit, right? And they work out this sort of sick arrangement. Well, that doesn't work in real estate. And I'm going to say it plainly. Real estate is a commission only, non-salaried profession. Commission only, non-salaried profession. And what that means is it can be a high-paying hard job, but it also can be a low-paying easy job. Not everybody is cut out for real estate. If you're going to do, especially if you're doing it full-time, you have to be a self-starter, right? There are some people that need somebody telling them what to do and watching them in order to do anything. Financial rewards. How much money can you make selling real estate? Well, I'm going to go through an example, but I'll do one now maybe. Let's say you sold a relatively inexpensive home in Silicon Valley, $1 million, right? Now, I put this on YouTube and people around the country. I had an appointment today about listing a home in Willow Glen area, and the person that I was Zooming with is back in Boston, and she just couldn't believe that this house in Willow Glen was worth over $1 million. She's thinking 450, 500 max, because she's in Massachusetts. And, you know, so when I say inexpensive home, the median price of a single family home in May of 2020 in Santa Clara County was $1.3 million, right? So $1 million is, you know, below median for single family homes, and the amount of commission might vary. Usually we get 6%, sometimes it's only 5%, and then that's split. But let me just say that a sale of $1 million home could easily produce $25,000 in gross commission. So if you sold one house a month, $1 million house a month, with a gross commission of $25,000, I'll go through the numbers a little bit later, then 12 times, that's $300,000 in gross income that you would have earned from one sale a month. Imagine if you had one a week, what that would look like. I know quite a few agents that are making over $1 million in real estate. Now, you might be a year, that's their commissions, not the value of the properties, right? The commissions. Now, you might be thinking, if I made that much money, I'd have no idea how to spend it. Well, nobody, I think, really thinks that. But one of the things you could do with the money is you could invest in real estate. There's an old saying, buy land, they're not making any more of it. And most people believe that investing in real estate is really maybe one of the best investments, right? Because stocks and things can go up and down, but people need a place to live, and there's no fewer of us, and they're not making any more land. And if you want to be an investor in real estate, being in real estate is a really good place to be. You know more about what's going on. You have more options for financing that you understand. You get to see properties sometimes before other people do. You understand, if you wanted to be a real estate investor, being in real estate would be a good way to do that. And finally, there is some security I know this is a weird time to be talking about that, but there is some security. And although that may seem strange for a non-salaried, occupation, I'll give you an example. A buddy of mine had gone to San Jose State. Mechanical engineering was his degree. He worked at Hitachi in the hard drive division for 28 and a half years, and they laid him off. And they told him it wasn't personal, right? That, it wasn't personal. And he didn't think it really was, because they shut down the department, the division, they closed the whole plant. Now, I'm not saying he was a perfect engineer, but even had he been a perfect engineer, he still would have been unemployed. And that's because it wasn't that they made a decision that what he was doing wasn't good or not good. They made the decision they don't need anybody here doing that anymore. So because being in real estate is like having your own business, you can be bad at it, you can fail at it, but you don't really get fired. Right? If you don't get along with us, you're an independent contractor, you can take your license and go work for another broker. If you can't get along with anyone, you just need to tough it out for 2 years, and then you can go get your broker's license, and then you can be alone all the time if that's what you want. You understand you can fail, but nobody else can fire you and say, well, you can't do this anymore. So these are the different ways. I've been doing this, by the way, for a relatively long time. And are all of your classes online, right? And now and none in the city, right? That is right. We'll be covering that. The classes are all online right now. Not in this, they're in every city. How about that? So these are the different ways that you could approach the real estate business. There is a niche of people that I work with that are investor agents. In other words, they're sometimes making, purchases for themselves, or sometimes representing other people. And we not only allow that, encourage it, and can help you do it. We also have part-time agents, sometimes called dual career, because it sort of sounds, I don't know, better. But part-time agents are people that already have their own job. I have agents I work with that have jobs at Facebook and Cisco and other places, but they're doing real estate part-time. Then there are full-time agents, which are people that are doing the business full-time. It's their main source of income. They don't have other jobs. And then there are big-time agents, and the big-time agents have teams, and they have expanded into different areas, and that's sort of a progression that you could go through. There we go. So these are some of the challenges. So if you're full-time, then that means you don't have another job, which means this may be your only source of income unless you're partnered with somebody who has a source of income. So if this is going to be your full-time gig, these are some of the challenges, particularly when you're getting started. Number one, you have to understand that this is sales. This is a surprise to many people. And what being in sales means is that what you're paid to do is you're paid to talk to people. I'm going to cover all of these questions at the end, by the way. So go ahead and type them in. I'll cover them when I get to the end. So what sales means is that what you're really paid to do in real estate sales, and by the way, this is direct sales, not just sales. You're paid for having conversations with people about buying, selling, or investing in real estate. The more people you talk to, the more you get paid. Now, one of the mindsets where when I'm talking about the real estate business to people, this is something that separates people. There are some people that say to me, okay, I've been in sales, right? I've worked in sales. So, and well, what kind of sales? Well, I worked for a tech company, and when it comes down to it, there was a marketing department that was doing all of the lead generation. And I've had people say to me, well, are you guys gonna like give me leads? Are you going to just like, give me buyers and sellers and investors to work with so that I have something to do? That's what they did at my other job. And the answer is no, not really. What is it that a real estate agent could do that's worth $1 million a year? Is it data entry? Is it sending forms for signature? Is it researching and writing? See, all of that may be important, but what you get paid for in real estate is the building of the business and the generating of the leads and all of that. That's what the job is. Contacting people, having conversations with people, following up with people. It's called sales. You might want to have, if you're doing this full time, 6 months of reserves. Now, this is why a lot of people do it part-time, because they don't need to quit their job until they're making enough money from real estate and they have a pipeline of business coming and they have money in the bank and escrows. It makes it easier, right? But if you're doing this cold turkey, now the goal is to write up some business in the first month, but sometimes it doesn't happen. And it might take 6 months before the money starts coming in. Doesn't have to be. I'm just saying, if this is all you're going to do, that might be a plan. You also have to be willing to work evenings and weekends. That's when buyers and sellers and investors aren't working a lot of the time, not always, but that's when they're going to want to meet with you or talk to you. Now, part of the good news is that this allows you to do it part-time, because when you're free is when they're free, right? You have to be a self-starter. I haven't figured out how to train people to be motivated. I don't know. And sometimes you have to have the self-discipline to get up and do what needs to be done and do it every day without necessarily anybody looking over your shoulder and supervising you and calling you on it or asking for reports. A lot of people I've had say, I'm a self-starter, I was the CEO of a company I ran, but they really weren't, right? All of that company was the structure that kept them going, and when the structure was gone, they couldn't do it. No salary, right? It's commission only. You should know that. And you're going to need a few $1,000s of startup capital in order to join the board of realtors, the multiple listing service, and things like that. Now, this is the plan for full time. If you're doing it part time, or you don't necessarily, you already have money coming in, you're already doing something else, and you can make a transition, I just thought this would be useful to cover. All right. So what do you need to succeed? A goal would be nice. Planning, scheduling, training and coaching, tools and systems. I'll give you an example, right? So let's say you like the number, that $300,000 in gross commission. You like that number, right? Let's say, and you were thinking to yourself when I said $300,000 that you might be thinking that you could live on that, right? You might have to cut back a little, I understand, but you might be able to live on that. So how would I close one transaction a month? Well, the next back step would be appointments, because I'm going to have so many appointments with buyers, sellers, or investors before somebody buys, sells, or invests. Now that ratio will change over time. I help agents with their appointments, which increases their conversion rate. But let's say you're new, starting off, you need 4 appointments in order to close one transaction. So if you want to close 12 transactions, you're going to roughly need 48 appointments, which would mean you would need 1 appointment a week on average for 48 weeks. You take a month off, right? You know, you're in real estate, you take a month off. So if you had 1 appointment a week for 48 weeks and you converted 25% of those, you would have done 12 transactions. So now the question is, okay, so how do I get 1 appointment a week? And the answer is you're going to need to have conversations with people. Now, it varies depending on who you're talking to and how good you are at talking and a bunch of other things. But let's say roughly you're going to need to have 50 conversations with people about buying, selling, or investing before somebody wants to have an appointment. So that means that you would need, if you're working on a 5-day-a-week average, if you had 10 conversations with people every day, 5 days a week, that would be 50 a week, which would convert into appointment a week, which would convert into a transaction a month, and you could go buy a new Tesla. So now that we have that structure, now the question is, well, who are you going to talk to? and what are you going to say, and where are you going to find them, and all of that sort of stuff, right? And that's where a plan and the schedule comes in. And then, of course, training is to make you aware of what you need to know in order to be effective, and coaching is guiding you along the way, and tools and systems is all the stuff that you need as a real estate agent to be successful. So how are real estate agents paid? Well, let's look at an easy example. You sell $1 million house and the commission is 6%, which is not uncommon. I just closed a transaction in Willow Glen that was 6%. I have another one going in Blossom Valley that is 6%. That would mean $60,000 would be the gross commission generated from that transaction. And there are two sides to every transaction. There is the listing side, which is the side that represents the seller, and the buying side, which is the side that represents the buyer. And although it doesn't have to be this way, the most common arrangement is they would split it 50-50. Each office would get $30,000. Now, if you're a brand new salesperson just getting started in the business, your commission split with the office could be as low as 50% or even lower, depending on the office. In my company, for the first 3 transactions, you get 60, your coach and mentor gets 10, and the office gets 30. 3 transactions. After that, it jumps from 60-40 to 70-30, and then to 70 to 75, and 75 to 80. It goes up over time. If you represented a buyer, and the buyer bought $1 million house with a 6% commission, split 50-50, it would be $30,000 in gross commission. You would, if you were in one of your first transactions getting 60, it would be $18,000. So in the bottom of the two sides, the salesperson is getting $18,000. So the question of how much money can you make in real estate is answered by how often can you do one of those two things. If you found 6 people that wanted to sell their home in a year and 6 people that wanted to buy a home in a year, you've done 12 transactions. And anyhow, and that will go up over time. Commissions in service. It's like a teeter-totter. I'm hiring somebody who had gotten their license and went to a big company that I used to work at and didn't like that, and then went to a small office because, hey, it's small, and didn't like that because there's actually no training, no help, nothing. And so now they're coming to me. Now, the split, as the commission split to the agent goes up, the services that the office provides goes down. There are some companies that have a 100% commission plan. Doesn't that sound great? In that example of a $1 million house and a 3% side, right? If you, which is $30,000, if you were in a 100% office and you sold a house and the gross commission was $30,000, they would pay you $30,000, 100% of the gross. Doesn't that sound marvelous? 100% of the gross. Doesn't that sound great? But some people that have been in business ask the question, how do they keep their lights on at night? You understand, if I had a shoe store and the shoes cost $100 and I paid the salesperson $100 to sell the shoes for $100, I must be doing something sneaky in the back room, right? Because obviously I'm not making any money. So how does a 100% office make any money? Well, number one, they have what they call the break-even number. And with the break-even number is they take all the expenses, the office, the rent, the utilities, the copy and lease of the copy and the fax, all of the expenses of the office, and they divide it by the number of salespeople. And every month you get a bill for the break-even number. And if everybody pays the bill, they break even. Now, of course, they're not in business to break even. So on top of the break-even number, there's the desk fee. And the desk fee could range from $500 a month to $3,500 a month, depending on how much desk you wanted. And many of them would have you sign a 2-year lease, and you owed them that money whether you sold a house or not. Do those companies provide training? No, it's 100%. Do they help you with marketing? It's 100%. Is there somebody there to answer your questions? No, it's 100. You know, what do you, how about this? It's an executive suite rental business. for people in the real estate industry, right? You're saying you get 100% and they don't do anything but charge you fees. Don't do anything. In our office, I know that when I work with new people, I have to drag them through the first several transactions. And by the way, in the office that I'm at, we do not charge monthly fees. There's no upfront fees, no monthly fees. Just saying. I wanted to cover a little bit about what's happening in real estate in Santa Clara County. If you're not in Santa Clara County, then it's not too much difference, but you'll get an idea. So this is from May of 2020, which was not a normal May because of COVID-19. Year over year sales, you can see that in May, sales of single family homes were down 54%, right? The combined of all of the condos, townhomes is a 57% drop in sales because during COVID-19, we still can't do open houses, right? We're not allowed, even showing property is a hassle. These things are loosening up, but I'm just saying. Having said that, prices did not really go down. Single family home and townhomes went up 3%. Condominiums went down a little bit, but the overall prices are not going down. It's still relatively strong as a market. Now, what the sale to list price ratio is when somebody listed their home for $1 million, let's say, did they get $1 million? Did they get more than $1 million? Did they get less than $1 million? So if they got more than what they were asking for, then they got more than 100%. In 2020, let's look at single family homes. People on average in May of 2020 got a little bit more than what they were asking for, more than 100%. And it is true that last year there was 102%, but you understand that's still better, that it's still pretty good. And you're getting 90 to 95 to 100% or more than 100% of what you're asking for when you're selling your home. That's still a seller's market. Dollars per square foot, I threw this in because I thought it was interesting, I guess. It's up 2% for single family homes, down a little bit for the others. Months of inventory asks the question, if we stop selling homes, which is sort of what we almost did, if we stop selling homes, how long would it take us to exhaust the current inventory? In other words, if we didn't list any more homes and we looked at how many homes we sold in May and how many homes are active on the market, and we divided how many months are there, and it's 2.2 for single family homes, which is an increase over last year. Now, is 2.2 months of inventory a buyer's market or a seller's market? And the answer is it's a seller's market. At what point in months of inventory does it start becoming a buyer's market? The answer is about 4 months of inventory, right? And by the way, nationally, people would say 6 months. But you can see we're still within the 4 months, substantially so for single family homes. Now, one of the big changes is how many listings are on the market. A lot of people haven't put their homes on the market because they're waiting for things to get a little more normal so that we're showing homes and doing open houses. But you can see the number of active listings has actually dropped. Some predictions, not that I know for sure, but I'm just saying, some post-pandemic predictions for the Bay Area. Rents may soften. We're already seeing some evidence of this. Some of these are somewhat related, that rents are starting to fluctuate downwards. Housing prices may not come down, not in the Bay Area. And the reason is that even with all the stuff that's going on, we don't have as many homes as we have people that want to buy them. And people that can afford to buy them in Santa Clara County and Silicon Valley, we just don't. Income inequality may grow as a result because there's people that are underemployed or unemployed, parts of families, and that's just something that might happen. New construction is probably going to slow as builders look around and see that maybe there's a recession, it's not looking so good, they're going to back off. The Bay Area economy, however, is likely to recover more quickly than other places because the question for us is, how is Google doing? How is Apple doing? How is Cisco doing, right? And if those kind of companies are doing well, then we're doing okay. But what happens, and I've been through I've never been through anything exactly like this. Right? Anybody who says they have is, I don't know, lying. But I've been in real estate a long time. A little bit about my background. I've worked for Century 21 for a long, long time. I was the vice president of the largest Century 21 group in Northern California. We were #3 in the United States. I spent 7 years at Keller Williams. I was the main coach and trainer for the offices in the South County. Now I work at independent boutique offices because I got tired of the big boxes and there's a lot of reasons. I was in real estate when there was an earthquake and the market went down and went up, and the .com bust in 2008. I've been through several of these. And so what happens is the investors start to come out, the serious investors start to come out. And there'll be what we call notices of default and pre-foreclosure properties and things like that. And it won't be just the big investors who could win, but the smart investors, and particularly those with cash, are going to start coming out and looking for bargains. And so the market is going to shift from, it could shift, let's just say, so that we're looking for different people that are interested in buying and selling real estate. So an update for the coronavirus period. This is all about real estate and economics. Jordan Levine, who's the deputy chief economist for the California Association, the union, believes that the market is already, a bottom is appearing. And with the economy reopening, there's phases, whatever, they may be, some people may realize they may be unemployed for a while. So there may be a phase of disillusionment. But there's still optimism, let's put it that way. And some of the predictions are that if things go well by November, by the fall, the market could pick up. I know of quite a few number of buyers that would love to buy a house and are ready to buy the house. They're just waiting for sellers to start selling again. The next 5 to 8 weeks could be tough. The second quarter is probably going to be down, but predictions are by the third or fourth quarter, the market could have rebounded. Choosing an office. So as I mentioned, I work for various types of real estate offices. There are the big box national brands. That would be the Coldwell Banker and the Keller Williams and Compass now and Intero, which is part of Berkshire Hathaway, and you know the list. And they tout their training programs, and they have stuff, websites and tools, most of which agents don't use. And they have a name that people may recognize, whether that's important. Most surveys show that buyers and sellers don't care about that. Then there are the boutique offices. And in the boutique offices, they're very small, sometimes very niche. They don't have training, right? But they don't have training. And then there now has been an emergence of online brokers where everything is done online, and what I'm doing is sort of a mix of the first two, in that I work for what would be considered an independent broker. I am a broker. I'm an affiliate broker with an independent company, and I offer the agents the same training, and sometimes better than what people are getting at the big boxes, because I used to be their trainer. I was in charge of training for Century 21 for Northern California, for the region. I've been a regional trainer for Keller Williams. I'm just saying, without all of the issues and controls and fees and expenses and other things that are involved in working for the big companies. The kinds of support coaching, I think I covered that a little bit, where we create a plan, we implement the plan, we follow up and make sure we're doing what we need to do. Training is, how do you fill out contracts? How do you make the disclosures? What do you say? What do you do to people? I have classes at least twice a week, broadcast, live, recorded. I have a YouTube channel with almost 1,000 subscribers and hundreds of videos, plus another 500 or 600 other videos that are not on the YouTube channel. So there's training. And mentoring actually means I get involved in real estate agents' transactions. I'll talk to clients. I'll do three-way phone calls and other kinds of video conferencing, or at some point maybe in person again. I answer questions at night about transactions. I help you read your inspections and reports and disclosures, so you're not trying to figure out all alone on your first transaction what's important to tell your client and what's not. And that's where most of what the support that you would need from an office would come from. How to get started, getting your license. In order to get your real estate license, there's really two things you have to do. One of them is you have to complete 3 college level courses in real estate. That doesn't mean you have to go to college. My package includes the 3 college level courses. And the second thing you have to do is pass an exam given by the California Department of Real Estate. When you've done the 3, those are 2 different things. You complete 3 college courses, pass an exam. Once you've done that, you can then get a real estate license. Now, before you can even apply to take the state exam, you need to complete a college level course in real estate principles, a college level course in real estate practice, and an elective. And the elective can come from anything on this list. And I would point out that accounting, economics, and business law are on the list. What that means is that if you have ever taken accounting, economics, or business law from a junior college or better, and you can get your hands on a copy of the transcript, it doesn't have to be an original. This isn't like applying to Harvard. You have got the 3rd course. Now, if you have all 3, it's not going to help you because you only need 1 from this list. We use legal aspects of real estate as our 3rd course in our program. And by the way, even if you've got a general accounting class under your belt, you might still want to look at the legal aspects of real estate course, because the Department of Real Estate is not going to ask you accounting questions, but they'll ask a lot of real estate law questions. But it will save you time if you have the 3rd course. I'll explain that later. Where would you get these courses? Well, you could go to college. Very few people do that because it's time consuming and expensive. The program I use is an online college level course. Now let me explain how an online college level course works. You enroll. Once you enroll with us, you're enrolled in the college level program, you're sent the materials, you log in. Logging in is important because it starts a timer. And once you've logged into the online course, after 18 days has elapsed from the day you first started it, you are eligible to take the final exam. You don't have to take the final exam in 18 days. You just can't take it any sooner than 18 days. And the final exam is an online final exam. You can take it at home, and it's an open book test. Let me go over that one more time. The 3 final exams for the 3 college level courses are online, at home, open book, cheat as much as you want to final exams. You understand? You can cheat as much as you want to. They give you 3 hours to get 75 out of 100 questions correct. Did I mention that this is an open book test? That's why they make you wait 18 days, because all of you could pass right now. We give you the book, we give you the internet, we leave you alone, or who knows, you could call people. And for 3 hours, you could look up the answer to 75 questions in 3 hours without knowing anything about real estate. So that's why the Department of Real Estate makes you wait 18 days, so this whole thing doesn't look silly. I hope you understand that this is not the hard part about getting into real estate. 3 online, open book, cheat as much as you want, 2 college level courses. So now that you've done that, you're ready to take the state exam. The state exam is not an online test. You cannot take it at home. So where do they give the test? And the answer is they give it in their centers that are run by the Department of Real Estate, and they are located in Oakland, Sacramento, Fresno, Orange County, and San Diego. So May and June, they haven't been giving tests. Right? You can probably guess why. Yes, they're starting in July, they say, to be giving exams again. Fewer people at a time, you get the idea. Social distancing while you're taking a test. So they haven't been giving tests because of the shelter in place and all of that. But when they start giving tests, you're going to have to go to one of those physical locations in order to take the exam. It's not an open book test. The Department of Real Estate will watch you, they monitor you to make sure you're not cheating or doing anything like that. And the state exam is 150 multiple guess, I mean, multiple choice questions. A, B, C, D, pick the best answer. No essays, no short answer, fill-ins, no true, false, none of that. A, B, C, D, pick the best answer. You need to get 70% of the questions right in order to pass. Does that sound like a particularly high score to require? 70%. Let's say you were laying on the operating table and your brain surgeon comes in pulling on their gloves, and the brain surgeon says, hey, look, I know I'm new, but don't worry, I passed the brain surgeon's exam. I got 70%. And I nailed that test. I got 70%. Passed the brain surgeon. Does that sound like a good score for a brain surgeon, 70%? I mean, 70% means that they miss more than 1 out of every 4 questions they were asked about the subject of brain surgery. You understand, that doesn't sound very good, right? I'd be thinking, gee, the 30% they didn't know, maybe that's what they're doing to me. So my point is, you don't have to be a brain surgeon to get a real estate license. You might have already known that, right? You don't have to be a brain surgeon to get a real estate license. All you have to do is get 70% of the questions right and you're in. Having said that, every time the Department of Real Estate gives this test, they fail more than 50% of the people in the room. And many of those people, they have failed before. I estimate that it's close to 70% that fail on the first try. How do I know this? They produce a list every week of people taking the state exam. I can see who took it before and before and before and before. The Department of Real Estate will let you take this test an unlimited number of times. I have met too many people that have taken it more than 10 times. So all these people that are failing, nearly 70% on the first try, over 50% every time they give the test, all of those people that are failing, all of them have been able to successfully complete 3 online open book, cheat as much as you want to college courses. They all did the 3 college courses successfully, because if they hadn't, they wouldn't have been allowed to take the state exam. The point I'm making is doing the college courses does not mean you're getting a real estate license. It just means you've done the 3 college courses. You can see it obviously doesn't mean you're getting a real estate license. What I do is I teach people how to pass the state exam. There's 12 live classes. You can start with any one. You can take them in any order. You can repeat them as often as you can stand it. It's like a pizza, I tell people, because they're warm and cheesy, or because there's no first slice. Like a pizza with 12 pieces, if your friend said, well, which is the first piece, you'd think something is wrong with them. It's, just take one. Where I'm going with this is my classes are taught as independent modules. That means they don't build on each other. They're all equally confusing at first. So you can start at any point in the cycle and you could jump around if you felt like it. But they just keep progressing. And when 12 comes up, the next week is number 1. Right? It just keeps rotating on and on and on. There are Wednesday nights from 6:30 to 8:45, broadcast on the internet, recorded. You can watch them whenever you want to. Now, forgetting the exam workshop only, because that's included in the full course, right? It is included, but sometimes I have people that are watching this that are just taking the state exam. They've already done everything else. But the full course, the one you want, which are live broadcasts, webinars, video replays, the college level courses, a practice testing program, a Saturday workshop before you go take the state exam for the low price of only $398. That includes everything, the college courses, the live classes, the practice testing, and a Saturday workshop. So the components, the college level comes from an affiliate of ours called Online Ed, They're approved by the California Department of Real Estate to issue the certificates that you need to go take the state exam. I don't do college level. Online Ed does the college level. I teach how to pass the exam, and I've assembled practice testing for you to do. Those are the components. So the system is you're doing college courses while you're doing the live classes. Practice testing as you're going along, but then increasing that as you're getting close to the state exam. And the Saturday workshop is a cram class, an all-day Saturday cram class, which you take, right before your exam. I have a high pass rate. Virtually everyone who goes through my course passes the exam on their first try. The timeline for all of this, and right now it's taking longer because they stopped giving tests. By the time, if you guys are just getting started in the process, hopefully by the time you're applying to take the state exam, they'll have worked all of that out. But it's 18 days to complete any of the college courses. They have to be done in a sequential order. 18 days is like 2.5 weeks. So if you needed all 3 college courses, that would be 7.5 weeks to complete the 3 college courses. And that's assuming you're doing them as fast as you can. And only then can you apply to take the state exam. And in a normal market, it takes the Department of Real Estate 8 weeks to give you a test date, right? It's taken 3 months now because, they stopped giving tests, and it could take even a little longer for some people, but this is what's normal. One part of the process that takes time is they want fingerprints, and they're going to do a fingerprint check. I've had people say, well, I work in law enforcement, I'm a nurse, I'm a teacher, I'm in the military, my fingerprints have been taken. The Department of Real Estate doesn't care. They don't want to hear it. Everyone has to go get their fingerprints taken, fill out this form, and send it in, right? It's just the way it is, and that check takes 6 weeks. After you get your license is good for 4 years. To renew, you have to complete 45 hours of continuing education and pay a $245 renewal fee every 4 years. So that's information on how to contact us. Let me see, let me look at the questions. So lost audio, I get back. My classes are online. Yes, they're not in any city, but they're in every city. How long does you think the processing of license background will take? 9 months. No, it doesn't take that long to do the background processing. It's only been disrupted because they haven't been giving the exams. But the processing of the forms is basically done electronically. The Department of Real Estate is behind, that's for sure, because they're not all working. But it was when they stopped giving the test that we ended up with the delay. Thank you, Diana. I appreciate the comment. And Stefan says, I don't know. Nope, but I don't know. That's more information to contact us if you want to do more. I stopped advertising on Yelp in 2018. And what Yelp did shortly thereafter is they filtered more than 100 5-star reviews from my Yelp page, which they said had nothing to do with me not advertising. However, I believe that if I started advertising, they might magically appear again. And at that time, I took a screenshot, just so. I had 123 reviews. And I know this is I'm showing you the good and the bad, the ugly, the whole thing. You can see, I have received a 4-star review. I know it's taken me a long time to get over it. I've finally stopped looking for the guy. I've learned to live with the 4-star review. I have, and by the way, if you go to Yelp, I'm being a little facetious there, but if you go to Yelp and you find the filtered reviews, you're going to find about another 175 5-star reviews, more than the ones they show. And I'll tell you this, because of my relationship with Yelp, if I had any bad reviews, they would be showing them to you, right? They only filtered the good reviews, right? So I have really good reviews, and if you read the reviews, you'll see some people wrote really long reviews. They took pictures of their license, and I have pretty good reviews. Now, What should you do next? Well, one of the things you could do is you could go and sit through a class. There's one Wednesday night. You can see if you like it or not. So you go to my website, which is dreclass.com, and you'll notice one of the choices is free guest lesson. You click on that, you can sign up for next Wednesday's class or the Wednesday after that and check it out. If you're thinking, I don't need to see a class, I already know this is what I want to do, click on the sign up now button. And you're going to see this. The first button is the one you want. That's the $398, everything included. Now, I do have some people that have already taken the college level elsewhere, and they just want the live classes, the practice testing program, and the Saturday workshop. That's $299. But most people are picking the one on top. And that, I know, is the last of the slides. So 7:30, right on the spot. If you have any questions, you can reach out to us during the day. We would be happy to answer them. Best thing to do now, if you want to move forward, is to check out the class on Wednesday night. If you've decided that maybe real estate isn't really for you and you want to do something else instead, but remember this, if you're thinking of buying, selling, or investing in real estate, give me a call. I would love to talk to you. Anyhow, that's all I got. Have a good night. Stay safe out there. I know.